Alright, so I cut all these up. They're not quite square. However, that will not be a problem in this case. And I will have to break these out of here. Not a big deal. Just a little too big to fit, huh? I'm glad I didn't glue these down to the brass first. So it looks like what I'm going to have to do is, and these tubes are actually going to block some of the fiber optics. Unfortunately, there is light leak around the edges, almost all of the edges as I expected. I do have this brass tube here, which is the exact size of the hole. However, the inner side does show through. I may have to use this anyway. Yeah, it'll have to be this tube. But first what I need to do is glue the clear plastic to the backs of these so the decal can go on. Oh, and that being said, PGMS does supply decals for these parts. So I think it's time to do some decaling. Some of these light holes next to the big circles are definitely close and tight. So what we'll have to do is use this as a guide. I don't remember where I got this piece of clear plastic, but it is in here for this. So I'm expecting that's what I expected to use it for. I'm certainly not expecting a perfect circle. Close enough should do the trick quite nicely. Oh yeah. So that idea is going to work. What I need to do now though is check the PGMS directions to see exactly how he suggests putting this together. And we'll go from there. Let me go get them. So it occurs to me that I can't use these decals. I would have to punch holes everywhere, and I think that will be much more of a problem than I would like to have. The colors are slightly off. I think this was probably based on before the corrections were published by the model company. And looking at them now, this is going on a year or two later. These are cracking in a few areas. I can still use this backlit film. And I'm noticing that the print resolution compared to the decal is definitely not up to par. These look like dithered GIFs rather than full-blown spectrum RGBs. So yeah, with very few exceptions, I can't use any of these. Simply because most of them where the colors are duplicate what the lights are doing there. Not in all cases, but the backlit, I can definitely use that. It'd be nice if it was a little glossier. And again, just like I cut that circle out there, there are 4 of them. 2 of them have blips, 2 of them don't. This is the one that goes in the center circle. And now that I'm looking at the backlit film, I want to have this model in I should probably cut slightly on the outside of this here. I want to have this model in a landed configuration, which means this monitor picture here should be some kind of landscape. I may just grab a photo that I've taken myself and put it back there. Usually it was shut off, which means this corner piece could be good for simulating a turned off glass monitor. So this backlit film is pretty solid. It looks like I can super glue these into place, according to the directions at least. That is a pretty good fit. Backlit, that's definitely going to look nice, but it should be a deeper, glossier look. So actually, what if I take this bit of clear plastic I've already cut, put that on the front of that, like so, and now put this in place. Thus, that's the exact reflection this needs. The green still isn't as deep as I would like, but I can live with it. Yeah, the green should be much, much deeper. You know what? I think I'm going to print my own. So that would be one more graphics job to do. Got 3 now, I think. The back room needs a back wall. The space pod area needs a back wall. And now these pieces need to be done too. Yeah, since I'm lighting all this up, none of this is really going to be too useful. A couple really small pieces, yes, but otherwise no. But I might be able to cut small sections out of these bigger control panels here and lay those in place. That could be really good looking. And then just poke a tiny hole through them for the fiber optics. And I suppose I could probably do that for all of this. I really would like to use them. So yeah, let's give it a try. These are cracking as I mentioned. Hopefully not badly enough to be able to put it down. But even if they are, I still have the paint job there already. All these extra little circles would add a nice bit of detail that I would really hate to paint. So yeah, what I'm going to do first is go and scan this to make a backup copy, because I don't want to ruin this and not have some kind of backup copy. And I'll scan these, darken that green to something I really like, and it won't be printed on backlit film. However, any paper I print it on, I may have some transparencies. Otherwise, any paper I print it on will still show through, but it will have a paper texture to it, so that's the downside to that idea. And then these tubes can't go on until that is in place. And actually that will affect how this gets on, which could be a bad thing. Alright, so a little something to think about there. Okay, so here's the original that I cut out, along with the little clear plastic rather, not glass plastic. And then here are some modified decals that I made off the original scans. So here are the 4 originals. These 2 here, I simply darkened up those, but it's still a little fuzzy. So over here I made a lot of extra spare ones, and I also created some spare photos for this piece here. Down here on these, this is the original PGMS. I just colored it with a little yellow. It's not as sharp as it could be if I redesigned it myself, but I'm happy to go with that as it is. You'll probably also notice that I made these circles bigger than those, and that's because I wanted full coverage underneath, and I'll cut those down a little smaller when I get to that. And here's the picture I'm probably going with. It fits really nice and snug right up against that inner brass there, and I am happy with that. A couple touch-ups around the paint, and this piece is done, apart from that door which has to get snugged in there. So I printed these out on a really nice gloss thick paper. Shining the light through it is going to be perfect. The extra darkness of the green and the extra brightness of the lighter green circles is definitely going to help accentuate and get more of a feel of what's really going on. I cut this a little large so I'd be able to center it really nice and easy. And the gloss of the paper provides the plastic sheen, so you don't need any spare plastic to cut out for this. The thickness of the paper will diffuse any lights underneath it, or at least should help. And it really gives it that TV monitor gloss that this piece really needs. I cut this extra large so that I'd be able to make sure that there was no, shortcuts or what's the proper word for that? It's not overcutting. Undercuts? Undercuts. Definitely undercuts. So it's just a matter of getting it centered. Maybe it's just a matter of... There we go. And I should probably use the micro crystal clear for this, but I'm going to go with the super glue, at least for a test. Let's see if the super glue actually affects. It's still centered well. And guess what I'll do here is smear the super glue over the entire thing, because if it's going to penetrate the paper and cause any issues with the light coming through it, then it's better to have it be fully saturated, or at least evenly saturated, I should say. And there we go. Piece in place. Let's take a look at this guy here. That's going to look really nice. Just want to make sure it's nice and centered. And go. So I'm not seeing any issues with the glue shining through at all. So we will proceed with the last one here. In this case, I do want to make sure that these radar beams are not parallel to each other. I'd like them spinning at different rates, essentially. So that one's down at the bottom, this one's up at 2 o'clock. And let's glue it down. And there we are. I'm realizing now, looking at the backs, that these communication panels are, of course, straight through to the far side, and any light that's in the back that's loose is going to shine right through that. And I do have some light leak to deal with around those corners. Here's the brass tube that I'm still considering using. I'd have to cut this down to make sure that it fits inside the floor area. So I might even be able to do this afterwards. And now that I've put the paper back there using a slightly larger tube, well, can't quite do that, so I'll have to use the paper to center this and hope that I get it right when the light shines through from the back side. Looks like I blocked up one hole here, but that's not too bad at all. And it's already freed. So this is moving along nicely.